Hey gang, I got an offer for you today from LinkedIn. As business to business marketers, your needs are unique. B2B buying cycles are long and your customers face incredibly complex decisions. Isn't it time you had a marketing platform built specifically for you? LinkedIn ads empower marketers with solutions for you and your customers. LinkedIn ads allow you to build the right relationships, drive results, and reach your customers in a respectful environment. On LinkedIn, you have direct access to build relationships with decision makers. Of the 875 million users on the network, 180 million are senior level executives. 10 million are C-level executives. You will also be able to drive results with targeting and measuring with their tools built specifically for B2B. And best of all, they work. Audiences exposed to brand messages on LinkedIn are 6 times more likely to convert. LinkedIn ads also rank #1 for security, community, and ad experience as part of the Business Insider's Digital Trust Study. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get a $100 credit. It's a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. It's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. This is Entrepreneur's Enigma. I'm Seth Goldstein. There's very few people that I remember when I met them exactly. Brynne Tillman is one of them. Brynne Tillman is the OG of LinkedIn. She's not Reid Hoffman or the founders of LinkedIn, but she's close to that. She has mastered LinkedIn like no other person has. She helps entrepreneurs and salespeople figure out LinkedIn, grow their business on LinkedIn, grow their sales revenue and their pipeline on LinkedIn. She is amazing. She's a good friend of mine, and I'm thrilled to have her on the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. So buckle up, Buttercup, because here we go. Brynne Tillman, everybody. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. I am here with the OG of LinkedIn marketing and business development, Brynne Tillman. Hey, Brynne, how's it going?
Good, Seth. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm thrilled. I've known Brynne. We were just talking before the show. 13 years. Like she's one of the few
Mhm.
people I remember meeting. Like I know a lot of people, but I remember the day I met her. It was at a networking event, and the rest is history.
Yay. Well, I'm thrilled that it led us to today.
Yes, because I have seen the where you are today. I've seen how it's grown over the years, and the popularity. People know LinkedIn equates to Brynne. If you want
Oh,
to make it anywhere on LinkedIn, you need to kind of friend Brynne and follow her, do her courses, listen to her podcast. It's at the bottom of the screen here for those who are watching live. It's socialsaleslink.com, and then you just do a /podcast. And it's a fantastic podcast. I've listened to like 3 episodes already. There's a lot
oh,
more, but I've dove into it. And I'm like, this is great.
good.
So
Thank you.
exactly. So Brynne, tell us a little bit about you. How did you find your way into the entrepreneur space?
It's interesting. When I met you, as the community relations officer at a bank, and
Yes.
my job was to bring in people into the bank for networking slash potential clients eventually. That's always the goal. And in doing that, I did a lot of networking where we met,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
LinkedIn was this new hot thing. And I started teaching it at chambers of commerce and in, community groups. And it really started to take off. And ultimately, to try to condense the story, recognize that there's a marketplace for LinkedIn for people that are entrepreneurs and in a business development role. It's not just this job seeking tool. And so I
Mm-hmm.
created a curriculum. I started teaching it. I was a partner with someone in a sales training company, and then launched my own company 8 years
Yeah.
ago. Yeah,
8 years. It's been 8 years. Wow.
yeah, and this little idea is now, we're teaching companies like TD Bank and Aramark and Comcast. So we've expanded in that direction, but we also serve the entrepreneur and the
Yeah.
individual through our e-learning, our accelerator courses, and our coaching, which meets for $29. You meet us twice a week. You come on in, you ask your social selling questions, And we've got hundreds
That's
of
awesome.
members coming to coaching every week. So
Oh, that's fantastic. So it's group coaching, which I
mhm.
always found was better than one-on-one coaching because you can feed your questions off each other.
Yes, it's
So if
great.
Joe or Steve or Donna phrases the question you were going to ask a little differently, it makes you think a little differently. It thinks, wait, that's actually a better way of phrasing it. I still get the answer that I want, but they asked it, so I didn't have to raise my hand. That kind of thing.
Well, and the other side is we have a community of people helping. So it's not just my team that's helping. There are other people that have put into practice what we're teaching and have had certain results that they can share and different experiences.
That's
And so
awesome.
it's become a really great community.
That's awesome. So, what was the scariest thing for you going into the entrepreneurial journey?
Well, I guess there are a few things. At this point, I had proven out that people wanted what I was offering. So the scariest thing I think is, are people going to want to buy what I'm selling? The second scariest thing is they buy what I'm selling and it doesn't work. Oh my gosh, what if,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
So that's the fear. That didn't
yeah,
happen. It worked in
yeah.
spades, right? We had huge success stories across the board. I would say the scariest thing is the uncertainty of anything, right? The
Mhm.
uncertainty of the paycheck, the uncertainty of what's coming next. And when you become an entrepreneur, you have many hats and many responsibilities. You have to sell, you have to deliver, you have to do customer service. I'm very lucky that now, 8 years after launching my own company, we're a 9-person team. I have a full-time video editor, I have a social media manager, I have a
That's
full-time
awesome.
person that does LinkedIn profiles, and I have a full-time trainer. All of us are doing a little bit of selling. Myself and my trainer are the primary salespeople. So at the end of it's the fears are, is this going to work? And this is what I would say. I did all this, by the way, without a plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like, oh, let's try this. Oh, let's try that. And I
Yeah,
recognize at one point when it's like, do I want to keep spinning my wheels, making it? The first year I did break 100,000. So like for a lot of entrepreneurs, they're like,
yeah.
that's amazing, right?
That's
So I know
incredible.
I did that well, but the hardest part was the scaling. So how do I
Uh-huh.
take it from being the Brynne Tillman show to,
Yeah.
and now you have to invest the money. So yeah, I'm making this, but it's going to cost 80% of what I'm making to scale. But if I want to make more, I have to invest. And so well, if
Mhm.
you say what was the biggest fear in all of it, it wasn't launching my own thing. It was the switch from the Brynne Tillman show to being a company.
Yes, it's always scary.
Yeah, I got a podcast for you to listen to and an app, Masters of Scale.
I've heard of that in my plethora of podcasts to listen to. I
It
collect
really helped
podcasts like
me.
baseball cards, So
Yeah, no, it
massive skill,
actually
yeah.
really helped me think differently.
Yeah, I've listened to a few episodes, so yeah, I'll have to dig into that after I listen to all of yours first. So what
Okay.
so on the flip side, what is the most exciting part of being an entrepreneur?
I love the innovation. I love the success stories. I love the hunt. So I actually really enjoy the sales part of it and the win. But ultimately, I think my favorite part is when a customer comes to me and says, so Michelle Vincent, who in the middle of the pandemic is a recruiter,
Oh
like,
wow.
right? Like that sucks, right? In the middle of the pandemic and took our course and took inventory. One of the things we teach, took inventory of our existing connections and identified an old client was at a new company, made a phone call and closed a $1.5 million deal, which is now over $3 million from one exercise that I told her to do.
One exercise, $3
One
million.
exercise, right?
Ah.
So that to me is why I do this. That's it,
Yeah.
you know.
And the endorphins from seeing it work and help people, there's
Yeah, and the
nothing better.
converts. I have converts, little converts of little things, like one of our members hated polls. I'm never doing polls. And I'm like, I need you to do a poll. Wait till you see, if you follow how I tell you to use it,
Yeah.
you'll get business. And she has 2 prospects. The poll's still live.
Oh.
She has 2 prospects that came from doing a poll. I'm going to give you a hint. I'm going to create a poll that has a good discovery question, but doesn't feel like you're prodding, like it's a balance.
Mhm.
and then get it into the inbox of your prospects and say, hey, as the CEO of an XYZ company, I'd love your one-click vote on my poll. And now we understand where the needs are based on that.
Mhm. Oh,
Great way to prospect.
that's a good one. Ooh, a
Mhm.
nice little tip. That's a good one. That's very I've looked at polls and I'm like, they're fun, but I've never really discovered how to use them. So thank you, Brynne.
Sure. I mean, that's the magic. It's the inbox, not the
It's the
newsfeed.
inbox. It really is. I mean, I like the feed. It's kind of nice. That's like my social area where I'll see Brynne post something and I'll like love and there's a button. You literally press love this. So I don't have to type love this. I can press a
Right.
button and say that, but all right. But it's the inbox. And really, I mean, when you think about it, if you're in LinkedIn and you have met people in real life and you connect with them on LinkedIn and you're over 500 connections, if you're not using your inbox, it's insane because you don't need to send out an email. You send out a LinkedIn message. I just check in with people. Say, hey, let's get a one on one going, and let's chat, and it works
Yeah.
out brilliantly.
Well, so when you think about messaging, there's one to
Hmm.
many, that's your newsfeed. There's one to few. I tailor a message specifically for CEOs in the greater Philadelphia area that are in tech. And then I get that message out to a lot of people. And then there's one to one where it's
Hmm.
like, hey, Seth, it's been a while since we last connected. I remember meeting you at the Eastern Montgomery Chamber of Commerce 13 years ago. Right.
Yes.
So, but that's one, there's no way that could be a bot, right? Like it's
No, but
right.
that's specific. I mean, that's like really specific.
But
Yeah.
we recommend really I mean,
Hmm.
really specific if you so one to many is marketing,
Yes.
one to few is social marketing, one to one
Yeah.
is sales.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and relationships.
And relation well, let's actually I like that better. One to
Yeah.
one is sales activity with the goal of creating and developing those relationships. Yes.
Absolutely. And that single-handedly has gotten this podcast rocking and rolling is that feed. Not the feed, the inbox.
The inbox, yeah.
I find someone on the feed, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember Joe. Oh, we gotta get him on the podcast. I'll immediately message him and say, hey, I'd love to have you on the podcast, talk about your journey. And
I love
everyone
that.
loves to talk about themselves. They love to talk about, what they're doing. And I love to hear what they're up to. And it's a great medium to just kind of run with it.
I love it.
It's fantastic. So, Bryn, what are you? So, what's your podcast about? I mean, obviously about social selling, but what's your goal of the podcast?
Yeah, so making sales social.
Hmm.
Our goal is to bring on top marketing and sales experts to talk about the traditional marketing and sales techniques and how do we use them in the digital world.
Oh, I love that. It's a good premise.
Thanks.
That's a really good, and it's really buttoned up too. I like that. Like,
Yeah,
that's the hardest thing when you do something like a podcast is how do you sum it up in like 30 seconds?
yeah. Well, so and we actually have so we also have making sales social live where our the three team my executive team, the three of us
Yeah.
go every other podcast and we just talk, we kind of rant on a topic.
Oh,
So,
those are the best sometimes. The buttoned
yeah.
up ones are good, but you gotta mix it up with the rant ones, the ones that
Yep.
are
So
just
it's
off the
every
cuff.
other episode is buttoned up,
Yeah,
rant, button up,
yeah.
rant. Yeah.
And that's the way to be. And I tell a lot of people with podcasts, we're not going for NPR here. Like
Right.
when this is not NPR, people are listening to you because they like, oh, I like your mug. Look at the mug there.
Oh yeah, a little LinkedIn action. Thank you.
There you go. Absolutely. And here's a question I know a lot of people are going to say, like, will your techniques work in other networks as well, not just LinkedIn?
So ish.
Ish. I like
So
it.
yeah, and why I say that is one of the big areas that really work on LinkedIn is the ability to filter and search by company, by
Hmm.
industry, by location, by title, and so that we can identify our ideal buyers. It's very hard on Facebook,
Hmm.
Instagram, Twitter to like you they have filters, but it's not the same. So if you're selling B2B, I think LinkedIn is absolutely hands down the best
Yeah, I agree.
platform. That said, I mean, all of the other platforms have their strengths, but people are on Facebook for pleasure. Very few people go
Yeah.
on Facebook to work. So you have to make sure that when, that on Facebook that you're bringing in your personality, that they're like, it's more. So Facebook is kind of like the house party, right?
It
Like everyone
is,
come and
yeah.
hang out, where LinkedIn is the networking meeting,
It is.
right? So who goes to those networking meetings? Businesses, right? People that have a business that they want to promote, people that are looking to build relationships and networking partners. So, if think about, where would you go to build your business? Do you go to the house party to build your business? If you sell Arbonne makeup, maybe you do. And then LinkedIn may
Yeah.
not be the best place for you. But if you sell B2B, if you sell to business owners, if to entrepreneurs, if you sell, then LinkedIn is, I think, the place to be. And there's a different technique and a little bit of a different voice. Not to say that you've got many different voices, but I am, in business, I have one voice. In play, I have another, right?
Absolutely.
So it's really, it's going to come down to, where are your buyers hanging out? If they're on,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Brynne, I know you have to run soon, but I just wanted to say, people, go out and check out socialsaleslink.com. Find her on LinkedIn. Follow her on LinkedIn. I mean, she's a wealth of knowledge. Brynne, it's been fantastic.
Thank
If
you.
if everyone likes the show, please review us on the podcast directory of your choice. We would love it. Have more people find our show, see these great people that we interview, like Brynne, on the show. And you can also subscribe to the show at entrepreneursenigma.com, which just brings you over to Goldstein Media, but I made it easier. Got the name. Always get the domain name if you can.
I
And
learned that from you, and now I own like 60.
oh my god, it's addictive.
It's
And they're
addictive.
cheap, but it's worth it. So
Well, I actually, one of them got bought for $3,000,
that's a nice turn.
right? I didn't
Hmm.
even know it. I just got a check from GoDaddy and I was confused. And it
Oh
took me
no,
an hour to find out why I got it.
because they sold one of your domain names free. That's awesome.
Yeah.
$3,000. That's a good turn.
I know. We were like, woohoo, vacation.
Exactly. Well, Brynne, this has been fantastic.
Fun.
Thanks again for being on. And we'll have to, when we're both venturing out, we'll have to venture out and get some coffee.
I love it.
Awesome, Brynne. Well,
Thanks,
take
Zach.
care. That was a great show. Hey, if you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please give us a review on the podcast directory of your choice. We're on all of them. And these reviews really help others find the show. Also, if you're getting value from the show and want to buy me a coffee, go to the show notes and click on the link to help me stay awake while I bring you more great episodes to your ears. That's in the show notes, and I look forward to the next episode. Take care, guys.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Colin Jeffries and Eric Reed host a great podcast called the Rethink Marketing Podcast. Colin, tell us what these fine folks will get out of listening.
Well, Jason, on the Rethink Marketing Podcast, we unpack the myths, misconceptions, and flat-out lies of marketing and sales. Our listeners tell us that we help bring different perspectives to common business growth, wisdom, and advice.
That's great. Where can people subscribe?
They can subscribe at rethinkmarketingpodcast.com or listen on their favorite podcast platform, including marketingpodcasts.net.
You heard him. Go subscribe.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.